Okay, so the other part of the lecture, the previous part was about that relationship. We're talking about procurement strategy versus relationship. It's actually about setting up that relationship. So it's about people that you are going to engage, people that you are service providers, service and goods provider that you're going to engage in order to deliver the product for you. So we have to go back to the very, very initial beginning whereby we need to set down the procurement strategy so that that relationship between the owner and the rest of the service providers are very clear. Without this component of understanding the procurement strategy and picking the right procurement strategies, it will be almost you can still proceed with the project and doing it in a very usual normal way, but it may not be the most suitable strategy that is available in order to do your project, because your project consists of certain nature or certain characteristics that actually is more well suited to certain procurement strategies, meaning that the owner, the architect, the engineers, they can all be arranged, and the contractor, the builder, when they provide their service and their goods and materials, they can actually be having a different type of relationship that can be better and well managed, which can better and well managed. Their relationship can be better managed, and that in a sense to be able to deliver the project in a more efficient and more faster manner, and in a more cost-saving manner. We do not know, you see. So that's why it is important to get the procurement strategy correct based on the requirement cycle. So in the requirement cycles, where engineers, we prepare all the owners, engineers, or separate consulting engineers or the architects or professionals prepare this concept and characteristics and the nature, the environment of the particular project that this project will be the environment this project will be carried out from. Then you want to pick that right arrangements of the people who are going to be in the project to provide the service and goods in order to deliver the project at the end of the day. So the type of procurement strategy is the first thing that we need to determine, and usually that will form the very beginning. So after understanding that characteristic, the project environment, and then that do's and don'ts, the constraints, of your projects, now it's time to determine the strategies. And the most traditional strategies, this is considered as a traditional of the traditional strategies. So strategies, we break it up into traditional and non-traditional, but under traditional, this is TGC, traditional general contracting, is the most traditional ones. Okay, it has been delivering project for centuries actually. So it's an owner engaging a builder, an owner engaging separate professionals, and these professionals, they have owners and professional will have a separate what we call an ECP contract, a consultancy contract, or with the architect, they may have a separate contract, and then they have a separate agreement. There's a separate relationship between the owner and the general contractor or the builder, the main builder for the job. So you see, the engineer does not have a contract with a contractor. So the relationship is the owner with the professionals, owner with the contractor, and the contractor may have other agreement with his subcontractors, and of course the professional can also have their own agreement with any of the other professionals under them, such as mechanical, electrical, or QSs. Okay, so at the end of the day, the signing parties will be owner, contractor, owner, engineers, or design professionals. So that will be the usual way. And the level of owner engaging the professionals is very much dependent on that agreement, meaning that they agree to do supervision as well, or it's just based on professional designs. Okay. is there anything like certifications involved? Of course, in the law of Malaysia, in, acts and ordinances and building acts and all that, engineers is supposed to certify the work that is being done at the end of the day. So that must actually include supervision. But unfortunately, there's a lot of this client who just doesn't want to employ the engineers for supervision purpose because they have their own in-house capacities. So then they ask the engineer to sign off the particular work that is done by the contractor if it's unfair and it is actually not right to do so. So the general contractor, of course, his responsibility is to build the project, provide the service, provide the expertise, provide the machineries, material, and all that, and build the project, deliver the project and pass it back to the owner. And the owner's responsibilities is to actually pay the contractors for the work and the materials and the goods and the services that the contractors provided. So these are the relationship between the parties involved. And the advantages of traditional general contracting is basically it is usually done on a very select, bidding. It will usually be done in a competitive benefit. And then the owner also have a separate design professionals that has nothing to do with the contractor. So there's no conflict of interest or anything like that. They are purely really the real advisor to the client. So as long as the client don't have that in-house capacity to carry out the design, engaging a separate professional designers is actually always a very good method. Okay, and this is one of the most oldest methods. So it's called TGC, Traditional General Contracting. And then usually the price for the job will be completely fixed before the work is ongoing. The work can actually proceed. So time, cost, quality, everything is very set before it can proceed to go into the construction phase. So in a way, it is a very tidy, very clear method of contracting. I mean, it's a clear method of procurement. So the accountability is also very set, meaning that contractor, you need to look after the job because you need to be accountable to the client. The design professionals, you need to be accountable to your client. If there is a supervision things involved during construction, then the consultant or the professional engineers will be the what we call the representative of the client to look after the job. So that could be another layer of relationship there that you see a lot of the engineers being involved in the construction phase because they are there for the supervision. Okay, so it should be used when there's ample of time for design. The design are very well developed, and then there's minimum uncertainty, and then the contractor will quote based on the complete full designs, and the prices that is being put forward will usually be not changing much at all towards the end. There should be minimum variation because the design is completed. Okay. The next method, there's some disadvantages to traditional general contracting, and that is usually it will take a longer time to proceed with it. So you need to make sure the design is complete before the bidding, before the construction, and then there is no input from the contractor basically, and there may be dispute because the contractor says that this thing cannot be built. This is not a reasonable design. So that could be some issues over there with traditional general contracting. And of course, for me, I think it actually puts the contractor and the design engineers, they are on the same par level. But unfortunately, the design engineers are seen as a representative of the client, especially during the construction and supervision phase. So there seems to be over and above the contractor. So that will actually put them in a very adversarial kind of relationship. So meaning that the designers are actually acting like a cat, looking after the job, and they treated the contractor like mouse, or the contractors feel like they are the mouse that will be caught, like kind of thing. So that usually will be quite difficult to manage in that sense. Yeah. So, but that is traditional general contract.